and we've won 10 games. Just like
Stand by.
You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
It's good to be back.
and we've won 10 games. Just like, we're being compared to, obviously, to Notre Dame in a lot of different forms and fashions, but the totality of our resume got just as strong or stronger than anybody else. And after their first 2 losses, right, their resume got stronger, but when you break it down, those 10 games, 2 were against group of 5 opponents. And of the other 8 games, 6 of those games were against defenses that were ranked 105 and beyond, right? 105 to 127.
Yeah, Mario Cristobal, head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. Why not? Bringing up all the facts a lot of other people don't want to talk about. I know everybody's starting to get a popsicle headache. Who should be in, who should be out? Miami and Notre Dame, in my opinion, should both be in. Alabama and Oklahoma, not so much. I'll give you my reasons why. And USF with a brilliant hire with Brian Hartline. Welcome to the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Digital Network. Thanks for checking us out on X, on Twitter at PShep326, on YouTube, Kick, Rumble, LinkedIn, CSD in Florida, on Instagram as well, Odyssey, and SR1029 The Game, SR1029TheGame.com, of course, across our Facebook pages. How's everybody doing this morning? Beautiful day here in Southwest Florida. The doors are open. It was 55 degrees this morning when I woke up to 58 now. Nice and cool, low humidity. Very, very nice. Even chillier up where Angel is. We got a lot to talk about today. Believe it or not, maybe the most exciting Thursday night game this late in the season with two non-playoff teams that I can remember in a long time, as the Dallas Cowboys visit the Detroit Lions, which I think is going to be a very high-scoring, entertaining game. We'll get to all of that. We got some more college football news to tell you about, especially from Mario Cristobal. We have a great take on the whole situation between Miami and Notre Dame from Greg McElroy from ESPN, the SEC Network, which is good stuff. NBA news, Giannis Antetokounmpo goes down again last night. Looks like he's going to be out for a while for the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll have some NBA news and NHL rundown as well. Angels Flyers win last night convincingly. A little bit later on, Mick Colaggio at 8:30 at my NHL Insider will join me. Before that, Trevor Harris, WQAM in Miami, will join me at 8:05 a.m. And we say good morning to Angel Martinez. And I have a nice little food segment I want to get to today as well, entitled Food That Bothers Me.
Oh, that should be good.
And I say food, I include condiments, herbs, spices, anything.
Nice.
Stuff that bother me. I was just thinking about it today because I was making my sourdough Thomas's English muffin this morning. And I brought this up to you before. It's aggravating that it's obviously they're not hand cut, they're done by machine, but they're not done properly. They used to be, back in the day, when Thomas's first came out with the little nooks and crannies and it was already a pre-cut English muffin, it was actually cut. You need a tiny bit of effort, boom, and it's open. Sometimes not even that, so it'll just be. Now, if you don't, it takes you 2 minutes to try to open the muffin because it's not cut properly. Then one side ends up being way heavier than the other. It's crazy. We'll get into it. I got some other stuff.
Morning, Skip.
Skip says, "Hey man, I miss you from the Yays on the Big Show." But hey, right here, Glenn comes on. I might get going to try. Actually, might get Glenn on tomorrow. If not tomorrow, he'll be on next week. Big O comes on at least a couple times a month. He's out in Arizona, and we still keep in touch. And he's always been a great guest, and he's always willing to come on at my command.
By the way, have you tried, speaking of the English muffins, have you done where you can squeeze it and then it starts to kind of open up and all you do is take your finger and it opens?
No.
No? That I learned that, right? That all them years, usually I take the knife like everybody else, right where it kind of breaks in between and it slices in half. So not all of them end up doing it, but if you take it and you squeeze it,
You talking about a bagel or an English muffin?
No, the English muffin.
No.
Yeah, if you
I haven't, because the other brand that I get, and I forget the name of it, I only get Thomas's when it's BOGO or Publix.
yeah.
If it's not, then I get the other ones, which are a little more expensive, and they are cut properly. And so I usually get those. But I like sourdough English muffins. They're good. And there's not that much difference health-wise, calorie-wise, carb-wise, net sugar-wise between wheat and light wheat. In fact, sometimes the other stuff is sometimes wheat and light wheat get way overrated because they put extra ingredients in to make it taste better or whatever. Anyway, we digress. I want to play this right away for you, Angel. And we don't have to do the video, but yesterday on Greg McAfee's show, Buckeyes offensive coordinator Brian Hartline named the new head coach at South Florida.
Hartline gets a ton of credit. I still don't know if it's enough credit. It is just absurd what that guy did.
Pipeline, and he's great at recruiting Florida, and now he's going to USF.
It's also J.J. Watt talking here.
Feels like that. No offense, USF. Okay, we had good battles with USF. I respect USF. I love what USF's about. Feels like we're 1 year, 2 years away from him having a situation pop up with massive school somewhere.
Bama.
Who knows? Bam. Every year there's going to be a massive one open, it feels like, going forward, which is why, like, Lane, do you need to go now? And then Lane's like, yeah, this is the one to get. Every year there's seemingly one of those.
Well, yeah, and like I said yesterday, Bama unfortunately replaced USF next year with East Carolina and Chattanooga. I forget which one, but both of those are on Alabama's schedule next year, and they moved the USF matchup, I believe, to 2032. Might be retired by then. I better be. Anyway, but a brilliant, that is a great pickup right there by USF. And what is unbelievable to me is how Penn State let this guy get away. I don't know what Penn State is doing. It is a massive head scratcher because nobody wants to go there, or they're being outbid by other schools. I am so shocked, and I meant to bring this up last week. I really thought for sure, after some of the swings and misses by Penn State, that Hartline would end up at Penn State. It makes all the sense in the world. Plus, you piss off your Big Ten rival, but their screw up is another man's, USF's gain, because that is a great, great pickup for him. He was an excellent player in college, pretty good player in the pros with the Dolphins and I think Cleveland. But obviously the man known for his recruitment of wide receivers, and obviously a damn good offensive coordinator at Ohio State. But he is the new head coach for the USF Bulls. You got to be excited. You're close to the program, Angel. People have to be very, very excited. I don't know how it could have gotten any better, except for Alex Golesh not leaving, but how it could have gotten any better. This is a brilliant pickup, a brilliant hire by USF.
It's an absolute brilliant hire. And I mentioned before the show came on, you have Rob Higgins now turning into Howie from your Philadelphia Eagles, and end up making this happen. They put it together. I think it was a minute before midnight or something like that when he had posted out there. But the fans are excited for sure, because you got to figure it, after the program going so well for the last 3 years, they're waiting to see which bowl appearance they're going to have. They might be here locally in Gasparilla. They're not too sure yet. But after 48 hours of waiting, finding out, seeing what was going to happen, Alex Golesh, heads out to Auburn. The fans were like, "Oh, this is a piss. Why nobody wants to stay here?" And then it went to, "Yay, we finally got a really good guy here from Ohio State." And Ohio State fans, of course, are not happy, rightfully so, because they lose someone that's really well, and I guess really connected in the community. But it's really good for USF and the direction that they're going. So it's going to be, I'm pretty sure tonight down there at the England Center, if he doesn't make an appearance there, that place is going to go absolutely bananas with men's basketball. But I can't. Now I'm dying to see the press conference and how, what he plans to do differently. And let's not forget, he will now have his brand new office once the brand new stadium opens up here in less than 2 years, because we're supposed to open up before the season opener in 2027. So they are really, really underway of putting that stadium together.
Yeah, but look, people have to understand. I hope he's there in 2 years. Look, USF and other non-Power 4 schools, even some Power 4 schools, schools like USF and other, they're always going to be stepping stones for other jobs. It's always going to be that way. So hopefully he's going to be there in 2 years, and hopefully he's there for at least 5. Hopefully he's there for at least 5. And who knows, if things go really well, and, who the hell knows? Maybe USF gets back to what they were, back in the day when they were ranked second in the country. But I think they're well on their way. And I think this guy who's just known for the wide receivers that he's recruited, unbelievable. Since he's developed 5 first-round picks at wide receiver for the Buckeyes since 2022. This season, Heartline, Ohio State, regard as the country's, what are the top crop of wide receivers this year? Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. Of course, I'll put my boys, I'll put Malachi Tony and C.J. Daniels and Marion and company up against them any day of the week and twice on Sunday. But the man is an unbelievable recruiter of wide receivers. And the ones he has tutored during his time at Ohio State include the 5 first-round picks from OSU, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Emeka Ibuka, who's at Tampa, Jason Smith-Njigba, Garrett Wilson, all picked in the top 20. He also recruited and developed Jamison Williams, who left Ohio State for Alabama before becoming a first-round pick, and other notables, Terry McLaurin at Washington, Paris Campbell, and KJ Hill Jr. It's an unbelievable resume. Going to be interesting to see. I don't have Ohio State's depth chart punched up here, Angel, but you got to wonder if some of the wide receivers that he's recruited in Columbus may actually follow him to USF. Don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me, and it's certainly going to make other wide receivers around the country. And yesterday was National Signing Day, so we'll see. We'll see what. By the way, the Miami Hurricanes had a massive day. By all speculation, the 3rd top 10 recruiting class in a row. Some big, huge names, none at quarterback, but who cares? Because they'll just go out and find somebody and pay them. But from what I read from Barry Jackson, the Miami Herald, they had an outstanding recruiting class. And I'm sure Brian Hartline is going to do a great job over there at USF. So that is fantastic. And your basketball at USF's playing tonight at home. Will they play in Utah?
Utah. Should they be playing tonight?
I forget.
Yeah, 7 o'clock.
Yep, at the Yingling Center, and I don't know if Hartline's going to be there because he's still going to be coaching Ohio State in the playoff.
Yeah,
he may be there. He may be there. He may be there tonight.
He could put up there virtually because obviously we can do virtual stuff, so you can put it up there and pump up the crowd really well. So I'm dying to see. And I missed this yesterday, by the way. Gaspam guy, my apologies. He said, "Good morning, fellas. Got a little downtime this morning, so I figured I'd tune into my favorite morning show. Have a great and blessed day." And he said, "Good morning as well this morning." I got to get Gaspam guy back on the air. I got to do a little retake on Martinez and company to get him back on. He had always a great Bucks take. So I'm going to end up doing that. But no, listen, as far as for Miami, the National Signing Day you had just brought up, I'm going there tomorrow, and I'm putting a big sign over there and saying Miami recruitment here, but it's going to be pointing towards USF. So I got it covered.
Again, you mentioned Rob Higgins, the CEO of Athletics, and said about Heartline, quote, "A relentless recruiter, outstanding developer of talent, gritty competitor. He comes from a championship background, is obsessed with installing championship excellence in his players and teams. He's ready to lead our program to the next level. He knows the state of Florida, having spent 6 seasons of his professional playing career in Miami, and has successfully recruited the star and the Tampa Bay area, the state and the Tampa Bay area for a long time." So anyway, it'll be it's a great hire. Now back to Miami, Notre Dame. Here's one thing that I'm absolutely convinced of: if Notre Dame or Miami played Alabama or Oklahoma, I don't care where, any place, anytime, anywhere, I think Miami and Notre Dame both would beat. They sure as hell would beat Oklahoma, and I'm pretty sure they'd beat Alabama. I just think the talent that is on the Hurricanes on both sides of the football is just so, by this idiotic committee, so underappreciated. And it's going to, I still think there's going to be a chance it's going to come back to bite them in the ass because, unfortunately, they lost that game to SMU the day before the week of the first college football playoff rankings, and the playoff committee threw them down the toilet and threw them down to 18, assuming they were going to lose again. Well, just the opposite happened. They started crushing teams as well, as did Notre Dame after their first 2 losses. But the metrics are almost identical. I don't know how these people that try to spend the metrics are almost identical. And depending on what happens with Duke and Virginia and BYU and Texas Tech, there's still a chance. Both teams could get in, and there's still a chance both teams could be knocked out. think about that. There's still a chance both could happen. Miami and Notre Dame could both be in. Miami and Notre Dame could both be out. Yes, it could happen depending on what happens. But it's getting to be that popsicle headache. I just think Alabama and Oklahoma are so ridiculously overrated. And if push comes to shove and you don't factor in that Florida State lost to Alabama and Oklahoma hanging on for dear life against a struggling LSU team, I don't. It just, to me, I see Miami and I see Notre Dame and I see them beating Oklahoma and I see them beating Alabama. You can talk about neutral field wherever you want. Both of those teams both are better than both of those teams. Notre Dame and Miami should both be in the college football playoff. Oklahoma, how they don't drop is beyond me. They struggle against LSU and they keep them the same. So anyway, I know it's popsicle headache. It's getting a little bit redundant here, but it is what it is. So with that being said, more. Because again, I'm going to push for my guys, and I want the whole world and country to see it. So if we could scroll down, Angel, to Cristobal's, it's under Cristobal, and it's part of the opener that I just played. Cristobal just exposed Notre Dame's entire schedule during his press conference. I want to play that. It's under Cristobal.
Yep. Right here. So let me bring this up.
And these facts are undeniable. Plus, they beat them.
And we've won 10 games, just like, we're being compared to, obviously, to Notre Dame in a lot of different forms and fashions, but the totality of our resume got just as strong or stronger than anybody else. And after their first 2 losses, right, their resume got stronger, but when you break it down, those 10 games, 2 were against group of 5 opponents. And of the other 8 games, 6 of those games were against defenses that were ranked 105 and beyond, right? 105 to 127. So I think when you start looking at the true facts surrounding a resume and how a resume is actually built, I think all those things will be taken into account. And I respectfully will always provide any and all information to whoever it is necessary so we could have a fair and honest judgment and decision on what is the reality, that we're the best and most deserving team.
All right.
And
let that sink in. Let that sink in. Unbelievable. Not unbelievable. That's what we've been talking about. And right under that, Angel, or right above that, I should say, is Greg McElroy. And he has a great take on this whole situation from ESPN and SEC Network on the whole Miami Notre Dame thing. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And here we go.
If I'm Miami, I'm remarkably frustrated, by the way. I'm remarkably frustrated. Yes, we had 2 bad days, if you're looking at it from a Miami standpoint. You had 4 turnovers against Louisville. You had 2 turnovers against SMU. You had a roughing the passer penalty that extended a drive on 4th and 9 that would have won the game against SMU. If you don't have that penalty, you probably win the game. You're probably in the field. But because of those 2 instances, because of those 2 bad days, and because of where they started in the College Football Playoff Committee ranking, they were at number 18 in their first ranking release. They've slowly but surely been able to climb their way back up, and they're killing teams, absolutely killing teams. And some of their strength of schedule has been decent. It hasn't been too bad. So as a result, Notre Dame's metrics that support their inclusion have weakened down the stretch because their schedule just hasn't been very challenging, especially in the last half of the season. Miami's strength of schedule has slightly improved to the point when you look at them side by side, just on metrics, not looking at eye test, removing the head-to-head for right now. Just on metrics, they should be right next to each other. Notre Dame is 1 spot higher in strength of record. They are 1 spot higher in game control, and they are 2 spots higher in strength of schedule. So based on metrics, they're almost interchangeable, which is kind of crazy. If they're considered being in the same pod, is there a scenario where enough people in the committee room could justify using the head-to-head result from week 1 over all other factors? I could see that happening. Absolutely. So I've been saying, I think Miami has a chance. And the playoff predictor and all this other analytics stuff say it's 4%, it's 24%. I think it's 50-50. Because if you asked the 12 people on that committee room, I bet you 6 are saying, oh, the head-to-head's the most important. I bet you 3 are saying, well, I like the metrics. Metrics favor Notre Dame. Or I like the eye tests. I bet you ask all 12 people, every single person might have a different thing that they're going to rely on that would potentially, maybe, move Notre Dame in front of Miami, and or the other way around, move Miami in front of Notre Dame. So I don't think that conversation is done just yet, which is why if I'm Notre Dame right now, I'm uncomfortable. And if I'm Miami, I'm really, really frustrated, but I remain optimistic. We'll see exactly where it goes.
Yeah, like I said, it could be. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens with these conference championship games, and especially if Duke wins over Virginia. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think they're close enough. Where I mean, Virginia, I beat them pretty handily, if I remember, earlier in the season. Duke also lost at UConn, which was an up-and-coming team until their coach left to go coach Colorado State and Jim Mora. But there is a chance that both teams could be left out. Both teams could be in. Really, really fascinating. Right. One more. Let's go down to one more take on this situation. Then I'm going to move on. On Outkick, this is Clay Travis with Mario Cristobal on his podcast. I believe it was yesterday. Yeah, right there. And here's more.
When you have two teams with the same record, you finished 10-2, Notre Dame finished 10-2. The number one tiebreak in every sport that I've ever seen, in every competition that I've ever been involved in every competition that anybody out there watching or listening to us has ever been involved in is, okay, same record, who won head-to-head? It's the number one tiebreak.
It's why we play the game. It always has been, always will be the ultimate tiebreaker. Why schedule it? Why even play if that's not always considered the number one, most important top of the food chain factor as it relates to, at the end of the day, deciding between a winner and a loser. And then on top of that, I think it was interesting, we have 4 common opponents. 3 of those 4 contests, we have a significant advantage in the way that we played and won convincingly versus those opponents as well. So here are the facts. We settled this on the field. Plus, we have the advantage of having played 4 common opponents. Here it is, right? The facts take care of themselves. You don't, no one has to build any false narratives around this. Like it was done, it was played. 10.8 million people saw it on TV, another 70,000 in the stadium. So it's a pretty compelling argument.
Yep. And again, I was there personally, saw the whole thing. Miami never trailed in the game. They dominated from start to finish. Yeah, I know it was a 3-point game at the end, but if you weren't there, didn't see it, they dominated that game start to finish. And all the other metrics are just about even. You could spin it any way you want. And the 3 out of the 4 common opponents, Miami outscored Notre Dame, beat their teams by more points. The only reason why the Syracuse game comes into play at all is because they had a lacrosse player starting at quarterback. That's the only reason. Miami walloped Syracuse also as well. They just didn't. They actually had a quarterback though that day for Syracuse, and not some 8th string guy coming off the lacrosse team. So anyway, we'll find out what happens. I think BYU will lose to Texas Tech. The Duke-Virginia game, I don't know what's going to happen in that one. Somehow I have a feeling that's going to come down to the wire in that game. You still have the Group of 5 conference championships coming up on Friday night. And there's still a possibility. James Madison hosting Troy in the Sun Belt Championship, and Tulane hosting North Texas. Both of those teams are ranked right now. James Madison is 25th, North Texas 24th, Tulane 20th. And they'll play in the American Championship as well. There is still a possibility, and this is the one that really is unbelievable, that Miami and Notre Dame could get knocked out, and James Madison and either North Texas or Tulane could be in, which it's just infuriating. I don't think that's going to happen, but you cannot discount it completely. I know Heather Dinich hasn't as well, and I trust her implicitly. I think the Alabama-Georgia, people seem to think that the Georgia-Alabama game means nothing because of Alabama, as long as, even if they lost by 30, they would still have a good enough resume, even though they lost to Florida State, to stay where they are or not drop off where they are. I don't understand how they moved up. I don't understand the Oklahoma fascination as well. I don't understand why the committee did not drop them after the terrible performance against LSU. Of course, I don't understand why the committee never dropped Notre Dame. They completely ignored it with their shitty performance against Boston College, where in the last minute of the third quarter, they were losing 12-10. They won 25-10, but it was a lot closer than that score indicated against a shitty Boston College team. But they don't, different rules for Notre Dame in the committee. They don't drop at all. So we'll see. I'm still very optimistic. I still think the Hurricanes can get in. And only hating on Notre Dame to a certain point. I believe Miami and Notre Dame should be in, and I think both of those teams are better than Oklahoma and Alabama. I think Miami and Notre Dame would beat both of those teams if they played. We'll find out. I hope both get in because it'd be great for college football. There's also a possibility that both could be not in, and that would be bad for college football. We'll see. We'll see. And again, if Duke wins, they don't have to take the ACC champion if Duke wins. They can go with the highest ranked Power 5 conferences that are ranked. And if Duke, that would eliminate Virginia, obviously. Duke would be 8-5 with 5 losses. They're not getting in. They're not getting in the tournament. No way. So if they win and BYU should upset Texas Tech, then all bets are off. And then you're seriously talking about if James Madison takes care of business with Troy, which is probably going to be more difficult than people realize. And no matter who wins the North Texas Tulane game, because they're both ranked, that throws the biggest monkey wrench ever into this whole entire thing. Duke wins and BYU wins, and Miami and Notre Dame are going to be out. I'll tell you that right now. They're both going to be out, and you're going to get James Madison and either North Texas and Tulane in, and that'll be that. Because if anybody, it's going to be both. They're going to be bumped. There's going to be teams that are bumped, and Miami and Notre Dame will be those two teams that are bumped. So, look, I don't think that's going to happen, but I certainly think Texas Tech is going to take care of business against BYU. The Duke-Virginia game, we'll see. I think they're saying, Miami fans should root for Duke in that one, which I agree with. You want Georgia to win. If you're a Miami fan, you want Duke to win in this game. You want Texas Tech to win. Those are the three you want to win. And it creates more chaos. But we consider and have popsicle headaches all day about it. We got a football game tonight. I'm trying to think, Angel, in my lifetime. Well, on a Thursday night schedule, not in my lifetime, but the last, say, decade, where two teams this late in the season would not be in the playoffs right now if it started today. It's Dallas at Detroit tonight. And both teams right now, Dallas 6-5-1, the Lions 7-5. Both teams would not be in the postseason right now. But nevertheless, a fascinating game here in Detroit. I think the total is 54.5. And Detroit's favored by 3. Detroit's only favored by 3. This screams Detroit and the over. But it's the NFL. It's crazy. I definitely think it's going over the total tonight. I think we're going to see some fireworks in this game. It's a question of the Detroit Lions. Can they take care of business at home against, a decent team right now in the Dallas Cowboys who are playing with a lot of emotion. Here's Brian Schottenheimer and taking it game by game.
Yeah, I'm a game-by-game guy. Always have been, always will be. I just think it serves you the best, to do it that way because it's such a long season. It'd be different if you were playing 6 or 8 games, only. But when you're talking 17 games before the playoffs start, I think you have to, take each day and each week by themselves. And the other thing that I believe in is I believe you really focus more on yourself. We talk more about ourselves than we talk about the opponent. I think, our best ability to perform well and win games is based on what we do and how we perform and how we execute, not what the opponent does. And we play really good opponents every week, but I just think it's an important part of the process. And then ultimately when we get to a Super Bowl, it's going to be no different. It's going to be Monday's a Monday and Tuesday's a Tuesdays. You got 2 weeks and all that stuff. But I think that's important that you build into these guys that, hey, we're going to take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time. And Why? Because your focus needs to be where your feet are.
All right, now let's hear from head coach Dan Campbell on running back Jamison Williams.
Speak to the confidence you have in Jamison to step up again. Obviously had a great performance after Saint left last week, but he's really shown that ability to kind of step up in games this year. Just the confidence you have in him if asked to do so again.
High confidence. He's really growing. I mean, he just continues to grow and get better. He's fearless. And he just, his fundamentals, for the speed and quickness he has, the ability for him to drop his weight now, and there's really some detail to his route. He's becoming a hard cover. And then you see the run after catch ability. He's had it. So his confidence is growing. Our confidence is growing. And he's doing well, And, I mean, he came back out this week again. I mean, he's full tilt. You should have seen him running yesterday. I mean, this guy, he works now. He works in practice every day. So love where he's at.
Yeah, he's rushed for 955 yards and 8 touchdowns, Angel, and he's also the second leading receiver on the Lions with 706 yards on 38 catches and 6 touchdowns. So he is a beast to contend with. It's a really, really interesting game. The Cowboys are over 500 for the first time this year, 3 straight wins, including over Philly. To potentially challenge the NFC East leading Eagles at 8-3 for the division title. Aiden Hutchinson, remember, he busted his leg last year in a couple of compound fracture last year in that 47-9 early season win at Dallas, but it ended the year. But this year he's got 8.5 sacks, a career high, 4 forced fumbles, and 24 quarterback hits this season. So, man, Dallas's offensive line is going to be challenged tonight. There is no question about it. And here's another little interesting nugget for this game. The Lions have played 56 regular season games over 3+ years without losing 2 in a row. So if the Lions win tonight, the streak without consecutive setbacks would be the league's longest since the Patriots' 57-game run that ended in 2006. Cowboys and Lions playing for the 3rd straight year after splitting the last 2 memorable matchups in Dallas. And again, Detroit ended a 6-game losing streak against Dallas, a 47-9 thumping of them last year. 2 years ago, Detroit lost to Dallas 20-19 after a 2-point conversion pass to Taylor Decker. The offensive lineman was negated because the officials and offensive lineman Dan Skipper reported as eligible, and Decker did not. Remember that controversy?
Yep.
That was so one official said he did, one he didn't. That was an absolute mess. So Dallas has the NFL's top-ranked offense, averaging 393 yards a game, ranked second with 29.3 points per game. Detroit averaging 376 yards of offense, ranking third, 29.2 points to tie for third in the league. The game will feature teams averaging at least 375 yards and 29 points for just the 5th time since 1970. So I'm telling you right now, This is one of those games. The total's 54.5. Detroit is favored by 3. You gotta go. You gotta parlay Lions in the over tonight. You have to. I mean, that streak of not losing 2 in a row. Even if you bet the Lions on the money line, a little more juice, maybe at -140 instead of -110. That's the way to go. And I think this game's going to fly over the total. I think we are going to see fireworks tonight, Angel, and I'm really looking forward to it because, if you had told me early on in the season that 2 teams, if you didn't know who they were, that would play this late and on Thursday night, and neither one was playoff bound, I'd say, I'm not watching it. This game, I think, is going to be a lot of fun to watch, and it's going to be very instrumental for one team or the other. I mean, if Dallas loses and falls back to 500, 6-1, huge. And if the Lions lose and fall to 7-6, that's also huge. So I think it's going to be a hell of a game tonight.
It's going to be a really good game. I'm looking forward to it, even though I'll have the double screen kind of going on during the basketball game. But nonetheless, it'll be fun to do. But I think obviously for the Eagles, this will be a big wake-up call for them as they continue to dismantle their own selves, not from anyone else's doing but theirs. But for Dallas, this would be huge for them because they could possibly end up running the table here coming to the closing weeks of the NFL. It'd be hard to do, not impossible to do. But at the rate that they're playing right now, Washington's banged up. There's no chance for them to even get in whatsoever. But for Detroit, this is going to be huge for Detroit. If they're looking for playoff implications, this will be it tonight. But Dak Prescott has been playing really well. I'm pretty sure if they win again, now his name will come back into conversation. MVP, blah, blah. But to me, Drake May right now still the leading candidate will remain until the end of the season. But I think this is going to be a really, really hard-fought game tonight. And I agree with you. I think this is going to be a blowout implication. It's going to be way over the spread for this evening. So I'm really looking forward to it, even though I'm not a Dallas fan. But either way,
yeah, I'm going to say 35-30 Detroit. I'm going to say 35-30 Detroit tonight. I think it's going that 11 points over the total, or 10.5 points over the total. I think it's going to be a lot of fun watching this game tonight. All right, let's keep moving on to the NFL. We'll take a break in a second here. But Chicago at Green Bay also on Sunday. Big, huge game in this one. The Bears would be the number 1 seed right now. Ben Johnson, head coach of the Bears, on the Packers defense.
And it's a good team, man. They're playing good football right now. They've really come on, especially these last 3 games. Offense is playing at a high level. Quarterback is very accurate. And so we got a challenge on that side. And this defense, I think I said it yesterday, it might be the best defense we've seen all year. So all hands on deck. It's going to take all 3 phases for us here.
Imagine a coach saying it's going to take all 3 phases to win the football game. You're going to write that down. It's never happened before. Coach Johnson says all 3 phases. Okay. The Buffalo Bills yesterday claimed 6-time Pro Bowler Darius Slay off waivers. I think that's a good pickup. By the way, the Steelers picked up Thielen a couple of days ago. I thought there were a lot of teams that would be interested in him. I was hoping my Patriots would maybe pick him up because you can never have enough depth. People are like, you don't want to mess with the chemistry right now. Screw that. You can never have enough depth, especially if you're the Patriots or the Steelers are in desperate times. And we'll get to them in a second. Josh Allen, though, says it's the best time to play football when the stakes are so high.
It's the best time to play football. It's when the stakes are high and you got to go out there and you got to perform your job. And I feel like that's a big part of this team. We want that pressure. We want to go out there. We want to perform for each other and share that love that we have for each other.
Yeah, Buffalo will be hosting the Bengals. It should be one hell of a game. Joey Burrow also talked about his return from injury and his great performance against Baltimore last week.
Yeah, I just think, I've been through a lot of these and, haven't had the chance to come back in the middle of a season like this from any of the other ones that I've had. So this one has been special to me. I worked really hard to come back and try to give myself an opportunity to get out there. Not just me, a lot of people worked hard for it. And to be able to have a moment like that in front of the world on Thanksgiving, that was special.
I think it's just a matter of maybe getting older too, and just stuff is starting to. I mean, you're not old, but
yeah, the more things you go through, especially when it's the same thing over and over again, and you continue to overcome it. And I'm going to continue to do great things and play well. At least that's the plan. These will be in the rearview mirror at some point, but right now it's pretty fresh, and this is something I'm proud of.
Well, that's going to be a hell of a game, and not an easy game at all for the Buffalo Bills coming up. And yes, they took care of business against Pittsburgh like I thought they would, but this is going to be really, really interesting. Joey Burrow also on the details of his custom shoe.
What is in your shoe, and that's helping you with your toe exactly?
Carbon fiber plate and custom orthotic.
How does that help?
Sounds illegal.
Well, the shoe can't bend because my toe can't go backwards right now. Still a little early.
Who's can?
Exactly.
I'll go backwards.
Keeps it firm.
Not at all.
Not bending it back.
Is it comfortable?
No.
Are you wearing different cleats now than you were before?
Before the injury? Yeah. These are the ones that I feel like give me enough space and stability to do what I need to do.
Do you walk around in different shoes, just like at home?
At home I'm just barefoot, but I try to be in the cleats as little as possible.
How did you settle on the sneakers being like the swapping out and kind of, why did you figure out that was a good solution for you on the sideline?
Well, I take it off throughout practice every now and then just to let it breathe and let it relax a little bit, and these are what I put on, so figured I'd just keep it the same.
With the weather, obviously it was cold in Baltimore, but it's supposed to be like really cold in Buffalo. Does that impact the shoe or what's in it and your toe at all, or not really?
No, it shouldn't.
How difficult was it to get used to the insert?
It was certainly a process to figure out what worked best for me and what was most comfortable and at the same time safe. But we worked through that, and a lot of different people were involved, and we got the right stuff in there.
Wearing it? Do you know, have any idea?
For sure the rest of this year, and probably going forward, but we'll see.
You know what you worry about? I worry about Joey Burrow the rest of the way. And it's not if he took a hard hit or something like that. I'm not even being tongue in cheek here. Those freak times where the center or the guard steps on your foot, you know, sometimes, and that's where, you know, if the cadence is off or that happens. You see it a lot. You see at least once a week where some lineman steps on the quarterback's foot. If they ever step on that toe, oof, I don't care if it's protected or not. So that's just something out there. Yeah. I'm thinking a little bit outside my little noggin to be aware of in Buffalo on Sunday.
Maybe you should get.
Go ahead.
You should get Kevlar cleats. Then you won't have to worry about it whatsoever. They'll be able to be heavy footed like the Kevlar helmets, but it could end up working. Just saying.
I hear that would be hard to move around. I would say laterally or stepping up in the pocket or even trying to scramble. That would be really interesting. We got a lot more to talk about in the NFL. Deshaun Watson returned to Browns practice yesterday. We're going to hear from Shadur Sanders, as well as they get to host Cam Ward and Tennessee coming up, Washington and Minnesota, Miami and the Jets. We will hear from Charlie Brown as well. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show. Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Mass. is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Head on down there to Phil Castanetti Sports World at 184 Broadway in Saugus. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there. And for the best articles and audio, there's only one source that provides everything you need. 365 days a year to satisfy your sports crave. It's Total Sports Prep. Staff combing through the best articles and audio so you don't have to. Sports and non-sports kicker stories will leave you laughing all day long. To get your free trial of Total Sports Prep, contact them, info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. That's info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. Total Sports Prep, the name says it all. Those Cincinnati Buffalo cuts courtesy of my buddy Mike Petralia. All right, when we come back, we're going to hear from Shadur Sanders. We're going to hear Pete Schrager talk about the New England Patriots and how frustrating it is for the rest of the NFL, and some more NFL preview sound as well as we get ready for all the games coming up this weekend. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show here on a Thursday on the Coastal Sports Digital Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie. So, wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
Giannis dancing in the mid-range, finding a cutting AJ Green.
And that's the key. Giannis is down, Lisa. Doesn't look good. Does not look good.
And Giannis gingerly, just moments ago, walking on his own power back to the locker room with the medical staff following him.
Awkwardly. Right there. But I'm not going to speculate until we get some kind of a
Ow! Giannis Antetokounmpo down 3 minutes into the game, but somehow Kevin Porter Jr. scored 26. Ryan Rollins added 22. The Bucks overcome the loss of Giannis, who leaves the game. They win 113-109 over the Detroit Pistons, who after the 7-game winning streak have now lost 3 of 4. But nevertheless, very sad news for the Milwaukee Bucks. who lose one of the best players, obviously, in the league with a right calf injury. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but it did not look good last night. But anyway, we'll get to more NBA stuff and NHL stuff in just a little bit. Here on the Pete Sheppard Show on the Coastal Sports Digital Network. Welcome back. And we welcome back. We are back on the Odyssey app. Correct, Angel? Because it has been finally corrected.
Yes. And the best way I can explain it in the most non-technical terms is, here we go. So you're sitting at a red light and you're being courteous. The light doesn't turn green. You're the second car behind. Now the cars start building up. So car number 7, the light turns green for the other lanes, but the left turn lane, you're still sitting at red. So they give you a nice little toot. Hey, what do you want me to do? I can't go anywhere. So eventually 1,000 cars go behind and the second car now is trying to finally go around. Well, this is what happened. It became the jam up of a lifetime. So the company that's utilized and their servers, they added a new server and they forgot to hit the green light. And because they didn't hit the green light, the bottleneck happened and everybody's waiting and they finally said, hey, hit the green light and ta-da, everything works all over again.
Yay.
You're welcome. Your nerd point of the day.
Nice. Well, good job. Sure, you let him have it.
Sure did.
Trevor Harris from WQAM going to join me at 8:05 this morning. Mick Colaggio, NHL Insider, and we got a lot to talk about with the Bruins and the Blues tonight. And we'll call it the black and blue game. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. There's so many injuries on both teams. It's kind of ridiculous. But, Angel, we could scroll down. Pete Traeger. Patriots are the number 1 seed. Then we're going to hear from Mr. Sanders and get back to some more NFL sound here. Pete Traeger video on the Patriots being number 1 and the rest of the entire NFL fan base being pissed off. It's not that far down. It should be three under the show. Right under Greg McElroy.
Right here.
That's it. Yep. You got it.
Ta-da. All right. And here we go.
Are again the big bad bullies of the AFC, and it took them 6 years to completely flip the thing. That's not how this is supposed to happen. You're supposed to have your dynasty, lose, and then go through the valley. You're supposed to have to climb, with your elbows and go through it like you're Andy Dufresne in Shawshank here. You're supposed to go all the way. It took the Patriots 6 years. This was supposed to be national TV potential trap game. Guys, it was 30-7 at one point. I will tell you, they were dominant and they were smiling. Think about those fans who root for the Browns or who root for the Arizona Cardinals or root for the New York Jets or who root for the Raiders, watching Josh McDaniels with a smile a mile wide. The Patriots are the 1 seed. Or again, the big bad bullies of the AFC.
Yep. So, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff from there. And what people are not talking about, everybody talks about the Patriots schedule. Go look at the Buffalo Bills schedule. I saw this stat. I think they've played not the same type of schedule the Patriots have, but 10 of the 14 games that they've played is, not against a quote-unquote great competition. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about the schedule because it goes way past the schedule. It goes to see the development not only of Drake May becoming an MVP candidate. It's about coaching, and they're not even overly healthy right now. Obviously, on the left side of the offensive line, and Williams still being out on defense for the Patriots. But again, the Buffalo plays this week at home against Cincinnati, and the Patriots will not play until they play Buffalo a week from Sunday. As far as I know, that game is still at 1:05. The only way it could be flexed, it's to 4:25. They can't flex it to Sunday night because they already played on Sunday Night Football, and they won't put the 2 teams again, I don't believe, on Sunday night. So they're resting up, they're getting healed, they're well coached, and they are well disciplined. And that's why they're the number 1 seed right now. Deshaun Watson returning to Browns practice yesterday, and I saw it looked pretty good, for you could tell at practice, but poor Shadur Sanders, now he's going to have to, possibly have Deshaun Watson as his backup. Dylan Gabriel is probably going to be Dylan Gabriel, we'll see what Applewhite Stefanski says. Maybe he's the backup on Sunday. He may not be. Maybe he's 3rd string. I don't know. But here's Shadur Sanders, determined to do whatever it takes to get results.
I don't view things as like patient. I guess that's the outside world. That's not nothing I live in within my world. I think I'm more determined and focused on knowing I got to do what it takes to get the results, for the team, for us that we need, to be successful. So I think it's certain things that certain areas that I need to improve in quickly, and just because I'm a rookie, that's not really an excuse out there,
Yeah, well, it depends on if your coach coaches like an idiot like he did and puts you in a horrible position. They'll be hosting the Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward and the former #1 overall pick from the U, Cam Ward, on his relationship with Shedeur Sanders. This is from A to Z Sports.
Just being another dogfight. From the game that we played in college, so now he's a good quarterback. And then really just seeing, both of us grow, just within ourselves, within the game of football, learn everything. So I'm excited to see what he does.
All right, here's Cam on what it would mean to win this game.
I think the biggest thing it would mean, and that we'll see with the win, just the things that we'll have to continue to do to lead to more wins. The growth that we make day in and day out. And I just think for the building, just a big boost to finish the season out the right way how we want to.
I know you do.
All right, Washington is also at Minnesota. Minnesota head coach Kevin O'Connell says, and here's another thing to write down, Angel, because I've never heard this before. It's about trying to go 1-0 this week.
It's about trying to go 1-0 this week. And if you've ever understood or questioned why a cliche like that is used, we're in a moment where it matters more so now than ever, because it's not 1-0 to win 5 in a row or 9 in a row. It's 1-0 to go 1-0. And that's where we're at right now.
Meanwhile, the bigger story, Angel, in this game is why Marcus Mariota finally sets the record straight on how to pronounce his name.
Like, what is the right pronunciation?
Mariota. I think it's been said over the years like Mariota, which is incorrect, and it's pronounced Mariota.
Mariota.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Stu.
We talked to you right after the game about Burks. Did you get a better look at that catch?
Mariota.
So is there a spelling bee afterwards? Like, or are we meeting behind the locker room?
It's how to pronounce his name. It's not Mariota. It's Mariota.
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 Well, we'll have to remember that.
No, it's all depending. That's the way he wants to play. No, my sister's name is Andrea. My dad insisted we call her Andrea. But there's also girls and guys named Andrea. There's also guys and girls named Andrea. And but whatever, it depends on your pronunciation. My dad insisted that he would always call my sister Andrea. So it's a Rhode Island, New York type of thing.
Yeah,
I think. But of course, my cousin Peter would call her when we were younger Angia. Angia.
Wow. For a complete different spin.
Miami's at the Jets. Charlie Brown, a.k.a. Mike McDaniel, on Tua Tagovailoa's play this year. Here we go.
So,
oh, God.
So anything in regard to the play of Tua at the quarterback position, and we've seen, he's displayed how it looks for him when he has supreme ownership of everything going on, and we know what it looks like when he's in a groove.
Ownership.
And
write that one down.
And we know what it looks like when he's not having his best day. The answer is never like just, all right, super easy, one thing. That it's always, there's layers to a lot of things, and you're trying to find patterns where his play, which it's never completely absolute. There was like 2 plays in particular against the Saints that looked as elite of his progression pocket pass play as he's had it. I'll tell you, it was play 40 and 46. You're trying to look at those plays. You're trying to see if there's a play reason, a visual reason, controllable from scheme, formation, how things are going, and then reverse engineering. That, how can we get that play more consistent on every play?
just, just. I don't care. They've won 4. I don't care to keep that guy on as a head coach. You got to be. It's just so ridiculous. Here's 2 on playing in the cold weather.
Well, the first things first, it's going to be code. You know, you kind of have that on the top of your mind. And then outside of that, it's a mentality. It's a mindset. This is what we get paid to do, to play football, regardless. It's raining, it's snowing, it's sleeting, it's hot, it's cold. Regardless, we got to go out there and play and do our jobs.
The Jets are going to win that game. And I think he's already psyched himself out. And the Miami Dolphins do not play well in cold weather. I know it's the pathetic Jets, but I think the Jets are going to win that game. Here's Aaron Glenn on the lack of interceptions, of any interceptions this year by the Jets.
With the whole interception thing, do you look at that as kind of an anomaly, or do you have a number in mind of how many picks you probably should have? Do you guys keep numbers on that, you and Dre?
You know, that's anytime the ball's in the air, we think it should be a pick. Yeah. So, we don't have a true number in mind. I don't know what team look at, we want to have 20 picks. The thing is, anytime the ball's in the air, we want to have it, you know. But it's disappointing, you know, that we don't have interceptions, because that's me coming from, you know, what I've always played. You expect those things to happen. But, man, we really have to work on that. You know, we have to be able to see the ball. When zone coverage, you got to see the ball. You got to be able to break on the ball. When you're in man coverage, you got to be able to play with your back to the quarterback and be able to react to the ball when it's in your vicinity of where you're at playing the man. So it's really puzzling. It really is. But, you know, listen, we're not going to hang our heads. We're going to continue to fight to try to see if we can get them.
Holy cow. I did not realize that until doing a little homework this morning. The Jets don't have an interception. But I tell you this, Angel, they're going to get not one. They're going to get 2 from Tua. They're going to pick off Tua twice this week. Might be a deflection. Anyway, Jets, mark it down. That's my prop bet. Go on down here in Florida, the Hard Rock app, if it's there. Over under on Tua throwing interceptions, -1.5. He's going to throw 2. That's okay. Off big bucks. He's going to throw 2. All right. Rod Taylor. Go ahead, Angel. What?
No, I'm agreeing.
Tyrod Taylor, Jets quarterback, on what about his future?
At this point in your career, how much do you think about the future and how much longer you want to play, or do you truly just stay exactly
in the moment, man? Tomorrow's not born. Yesterday's dead.
Good stuff. New Orleans is at Tampa Bay. The Bucs are getting healthy. Did Mike Evans practice yesterday? I'm not sure. I thought he was ready. There was a chance that he might practice this week. They already have Bucky Irvin back. They got Godwin back, and if he comes back, Mike Evans, even if it's next week, that's a lot sooner than people thought. Here's Baker Mayfield on the Saints defense, the Bucs quarterback. Yeah.
Some minor changes here and there, but they still do what they do and do it well. So it's I'd say the pass rush is getting home a little bit more. They're trusting DeMario in coverage, letting some of the other backers blitz. I mean, he's still a matchup nightmare when he lines up in the line of scrimmage. So got to be aware with where he's at. But yeah, I think Granderson and Chase Young are also playing really well on the edges.
All right, and here's Baker Mayfield on the possibility of Mike Evans' return.
Yeah, obviously, talked about it to a lot of extension, but I mean, Mike just attracts so much attention. Obviously, his playmaking ability is great to have. Obviously, I can trust him, know where he's going to be, but he just attracts so much attention. It really affects how a defense is going to play you, how the coordinator is going to call it. So, yeah, obviously, we'll see how they progress continually. But yeah, getting him and J-Mac, and for J-Mac, it's obviously been a long time coming, going back to training camp and a preseason game. So he's worked his tail off to get to this point. So hopefully he keeps heading in the right direction. But it'll keep getting better for us, But like I said last week, we have what we need to win right now. But those pieces will be bonuses for us. But we need to execute with what we have right now.
Gasping Guy says, do either of you think Baker could make his way back into the MVP conversation if he starts to get back to being Baker? Yeah, I think it's possible. It's possible. A lot of football left. Trevor, hang tight 1 second. I've got 2 more cuts I got to play. Indianapolis at Jacksonville. Liam Cohen, head coach of the Jags, on the magnitude of this week's game.
In this one, how big can it be to have this game at home?
Huge. Got the throwback unis back up, and great opportunity for our organization, for the city. for the fan base to come out and help support. And, as much as they're fans, fans of us, we're fans of them, from all of us wanting to continue to put a product on the field that everybody can be proud of and entertaining. We are in the entertainment business, and I got to believe that our players are going to play their tails off, for our city on Sunday.
Jaguars -1.5. Bet the house. Bet the house. I can tell you that'll be my lock of the week tomorrow. They own Indianapolis. They've won 10 straight against them, and I'm telling you, they're going to beat them again, especially with the Colts kind of struggling right now. All right, a couple more from Pittsburgh at Baltimore, and then, Trevor, I'll get right to you. Here's Aaron Rodgers. Has confidence.
Feeling the pulse of the team. I don't feel like this team has a freak out or a panic that I need to send a message out to the zeitgeist that everybody needs to just relax a little bit. We've been playing inconsistent football, that's for sure.
5 letters, RELAX, relax.
The team, I have confidence in my guys, and that we're going to put a better performance in the field this weekend.
And how about this? And lastly, Mike Tomlin, on any speculation, again, that was from 93.7 The Fan. This is from the Pittsburgh Steelers webpage. Mike Tomlin talked about any speculation on being named the head coach at Penn State.
Mike, at any point in your coaching career, did you ever have an interest or express an interest in being a head coach in the college game? And do you have any idea how that may or may not have led to folks like Ryan and Doug Whaley and Carson Palmer connecting you to some college jobs?
Hey, guys, I don't have time for that speculation. I mean, that's a joke to me. I got one of the best jobs in all of professional sport. Why would I have any interest in coaching college football? That'll be the last time that I address it. And not only today, but moving forward. Never say never, but never. Okay? Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check. Anybody asking Sean Payton about that? Anybody asking Andy Reid about stuff like that?
Don't be so offended, Mike. You might get a better, higher paying job. You might get a better job at Penn State. Oh, lastly, I got to get this in. Philly, the Eagles are at the Chargers. Big game, tough game, interconference game. Eagles OC Kevin Patullo, though, addressed his home being vandalized after losing to the Bears.
At this point, right, we're ready to focus in winning the game. Unfortunately, it happened. I've been here for 5 years now, and it's been awesome. I mean, this is such a unique place to coach and play. It's very special. We've been to, 2 NFC Championship games. We've won at Lincoln Financial, a Super Bowl. The parade is it's an amazing atmosphere to be a coach and a player. And as coaches and players, we all know that part of our job is to handle criticism. And so it's perfectly acceptable to sit up here and talk about what's going on, how to fix it, what we're going to do going forward, and we know that. But when it involves your family, obviously it crosses the line. And so that happened. And at this point, we just got to move on. We're trying to win. That's all we want to do is focus. Whether it's my family, whether it's the team, all we're trying to do together is focus on this week. We've got a long week, which has been good to have an extra day of preparation and go out to LA and beat the Chargers. When you talk about what had happened, ultimately, like you said, you want to be able to separate your job from your family. And, we talked about it before, I said it before, that line was crossed, and it was an unfortunate incident.
All right, there you have it. It is unfortunate. It's just a football game. My God, people. And it's not just Philadelphia fans. This happens all the time in big-time sports. It's just so stupid. And you're not just egging Kevin Patullo's house. You're egging his wife and his kids and family, everything else. It's just absolutely ridiculous. You can complain all you want, and I understand about his offensive play calling. You start getting physical, which I think vandalizing somebody's house is physical, then you're a low-life scumbag. Anyway, enough of that. Our weekly visit from Trevor Harris, WQAM down Alligator Alley this morning. Producer and host extraordinaire is I keep pushing for the Canes. I love what Greg McElroy said yesterday. It has just been an absolute joke of a committee. Everybody knows it. Everybody, and I've been saying to Trevor that Miami and Notre Dame should both be in, and Alabama and Oklahoma should be peeing their pants right now. But Oklahoma survives a shitty game against
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, blows a 17-0 lead, and you have Hunter Yurachek talking about what a gutsy performance it was to go for it on 4th and. I mean, the hypocrisy is absolutely unbelievable. I'm sure down at QAM, right, fans are fairly livid considering the explanations, which are ridiculous. And then Heather Dinich came up with a beauty. A couple, the one especially, which I did not know this Saturday is going to be the first time that the entire committee is together watching games. So I'm going to assume it's Friday night too. First time. I didn't know that. How are you not together every Saturday watching these games?
What are they on a Zoom call the whole effing year?
Nope.
Or a good old FaceTime or WhatsApp? Like, what the hell are we doing?
She said that, and Hunter didn't deny it. Unbelievable. I still can't believe it. But anyway, how you doing? How's it going down there?
Let's say this. I really want to go after the CFP. I want to know their location, honestly, because I want to crash their place.
I want
now.
drug testing done. I want drug testing done. I wanted.
I don't. I want more than drug testing. I want lie detector set up. I want drug testing. I want the whole shebang, like it's a crime movie from the 80s almost and 90s almost. I want that. I'm sick and tired of the CFP people. I think I've started this take up. I was like, maybe we should just go back to the BCS computer poll system. Just do all the numbers and stuff, and that people are running with that down here. Shout out to Hollywood already.
With 16 teams, yeah. Look, it might be all I know is there's too many prejudices, and I'm not talking about race. There's too many prejudices in that room against certain teams, including Miami, and there's just not enough coaches on this committee. There just aren't. There's only 3 out of the 12, and
you should not be an athletic director on here. You should not. You should honestly be. It should be all ex-coaches. I know some of them need a check. We know a few. Anyways, put them on there. I'll give you the list. Butch Davis, good old Jimbo Fisher, good old the old ball coach. Anyway, Spurrier. Put Urban Meyer on it. Like I'll say, Urban, you cannot do TV if you want to be the CFP. He's like, fine, I'll be CFP. Put Bob Stoops on it and put some other people on it. Get Pete Carroll on the side.
Maybe Bob Stoops. Yeah, maybe even a Pete Carroll. Somebody that used to be a coach. Somebody.
Yeah.
But the torrential flood of illogic, and for him to say what he said, Hunter Yurachek, to what he said the other night, once again, they just make complete fools out of themselves. But I just couldn't believe that they didn't bring up the Oklahoma situation.
Mm-hmm.
What pisses me off, I got to sit here and defend Notre Dame. I got to sit here and defend them. Because I think Miami and Notre Dame should be in. The scary part is if Duke wins against Virginia, and I'm not discounting it, even though Virginia, I think
they're going to put a JMU in, which is going to be bullshit.
Not just JMU, Tulane or North Texas as well. I mean, it's and then if that is the case, James Madison would be in because they're ranked, and North Texas and Tulane are both ranked. Whoever wins that game in the American, both of those teams could get in if Duke wins. If BYU loses, which I think to Texas, I mean, I'm saying there's still a possibility. I think it's stronger than people think that both Miami and Notre Dame will get in. There's also a distinct possibility that Miami and Notre Dame both don't get in, which is more crazy. It's insane to think that, because I think Miami and Notre Dame both would beat at this moment. They would both beat Oklahoma. They sure as hell would both beat Oklahoma, and I think they'd both beat Alabama.
Oklahoma, Miami is just. Do you know how much ratings will be for that game? By the way, it'd be like the 80s. It'd be better than the 80s matchup, with Tony Casillas and everybody. Like,
if Notre Dame ends up playing Miami,
Miami Notre Dame. If we get Miami Notre Dame in the playoffs, or Miami, Oklahoma.
At some point. But how about Miami at Oregon? I mean, that's the one.
That's the best game. Like, that's the revenge factor. Mario coming back.
This committee has got to take in consideration everything is just about even. The metrics of Miami and Notre Dame are even. We beat them. We beat three out of the 4 teams.
We beat the other teams better than Notre Dame.
The only reason why the Syracuse game, in which we whipped up on them too, and they whipped up on them even more, is because they had a lacrosse player, eighth stringer, playing quarterback in that game. If that quarterback had played against Miami, Miami would have done the same thing. And then, and of course, we beat them, as you know, when I was there, and beat them soundly. They were never showing in that game. They beat them up and down the field that night. Yeah, they only won by 3. But if you were there, committee, and watch, or go rewatch it on ACC Network, because they're showing it like 24/7.
Yeah. Or the Florida game.
Yeah, or the Florida game. Exactly.
It's like, what are we doing? Like,
but the fact that both Miami and Notre Dame could be knocked out if Duke wins, and the BYU Texas Tech situation is another one. So if you're a Miami fan, you're kind of rooting for Duke, rooting for Georgia. Although that's another thing. The Georgia-Alabama game, this committee seems to think it doesn't really matter because Alabama is going to be in one way or the other, which I think is ridiculous. So we just discount the Florida State loss, and we just go with them barely hanging on against not only Auburn. Go back to the South Carolina game was way too close.
Missouri,
Oklahoma needed overtime.
Yeah.
Where was that drop off? I can't. I'm trying.
Here's the other thing. Miami is a state champs too. I will throw that in everyone's effing face.
We're 4-0 against ranked teams this year.
4-0 versus ranked teams. Also, they beat the crap out of NC State.
Yep.
Better than Notre Dame. They beat the crap out of Pittsburgh. Better than Notre Dame. We didn't have to pull a fake punt on Stanford, unlike Notre Dame did.
Yep.
And we beat Stanford up better than Notre Dame. Yep. Like, what is wrong with this committee? What is wrong with society in
Miami? There's obvious people on that committee, and they screwed themselves. The worst thing that happened is
they thought they were going to lose this week
when they lost to SMU, and it was the 3 days later or 4 days later was when the committee came out with their first college football playoff poll, and they threw Miami under the bus, and knocked them down to 18, thinking that they were going to lose again, and that Miami will bail the committee out because they'll lose. Well, just the opposite. They kicked the shit out of everybody else the rest of the way. The committee looks like total a-holes, and they never should have fallen that far. This is not, and Greg McElroy brought up losing to Louisville and SMU. Yeah, they should have won both of those games. Okay, they should have won both of those games, but it's not like they lost to the Drake. Auburn almost beating Alabama. This is not like LSU almost beating Oklahoma. It's not like Louisville and SMU are the dregs of the ACC or in college football.
No, they're not like they're Wake Forest or.
If the pass interference call did not happen against Miami, and it was the right call in the SMU game late, they win that game. We're not even having this conversation. They're probably ranked 3rd or 4th right now. It's just I'm just praying. I'm lighting candles every day that in the end the committee will see. The only thing positive that Juracek said was, yes, teams who are not playing this week can still move up. I hope the committee comes to its senses, listen to what everything Mario Cristobal said the last couple of days, especially about the fact that Notre Dame playing defense is ranked 105 to 127, down the stretch, and how that and still. Everything being equal, which it almost basically is, the head-to-head has got to come into play. They have to. And not to mention the fact the quality players. All right, Miami's got a lot more studs out there than Notre Dame. I'm sorry. Quarterback, both running backs. Malachi Tony is the most exciting player right now in college football, period. I'll challenge anybody to that. And running, throwing, and catching the ball is amazing. CJ Daniels, Marion, are you shitting me? And you don't want players like that in the college football playoff? You got to be kidding me.
You don't want a defense like Ruben Bain, who's going nuts.
And Medeiros and
Mesidor.
And the All-Pro center that we got.
You have Jacoby Thomas back there, running back like picks and stuff. Like, come on, don't you want that? Don't you want that flavor?
And the way they're putting up points, and the way they have a top 10 defense. I mean, it's so ridiculous that we're even having this conversation. It really is.
It's like 2000 again when they got screwed out of the national title game, even though they beat Florida State anyways.
Yeah.
and we had to play. Even though they had to play the Florida Gator, but I was like, oh, whatever, we're state champs anyways. So
well, anyway, so what I'm sure people down there must be livid, right? And I'm sure
yeah,
livid.
people are livid. I actually had to get the clips so we can have it for college. Miami Ole Miss, by the way, for college basketball last week on Tuesday for the ACC SEC challenge. I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of these SEC schools have pro football only. Get rid of the basketball program, please. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, but the SEC has got a bunch of teams ranked in the top 25.
I know, but there's some schools like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
you look weird with a basketball team, anyways.
Yeah, but you know that it is you're going to get that in every conference.
Yeah.
Personally. But the SEC, you know, can make a case that they're the best basketball conference right now too. Unfortunately, but I'll tell you, the best team in the country that I've seen so far in college basketball for me is Michigan.
Yes.
Michigan and Dusty May, who was down here at FAU, he's done an amazing job. I've seen them play 3 times this year, and I am telling you right now, if the Final Four were today, Michigan would be in it, and I think they would win it. And I'm going to tell everybody right now, my sleeper team, the entire season. Wait till the tournament starts. It's going to be Iowa State.
Yes.
Ball.
Oh yeah.
Ball. But Michigan right now, Dusty May. It only took him a year and a half. Really, to get going, and unbelievable stuff what he's doing at Michigan. They are the best team in the country. I don't care what the rankings are right now.
I don't trust BYU, by the way. That kid that they got.
No, he's 18, but these are all exhibition games for him.
Yeah,
and he's going to be a top 10, top 5, probably top 5 draft pick coming up.
I'll give you top 10 at least because I don't know the NBA draft anymore. I enjoyed my college basketball on Thanksgiving and also on the day after Thanksgiving as they smoked Georgetown. By the way, Miami did.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was beautiful. That was.
I see Ed Cooley lose now after what happened in Providence. You know,
everyone's mad. Everyone's mad at me because I'm like, why do you root for Ed Cooley to lose? He's such a Big East guy. It's like, how he left Providence is not the way I would say. Anyways, I would like to see that's Big East wise.
I thought was going to be something. Is not. They beat Fairleigh Dickinson the other night by 30, but disappointing losses. They don't play any defense.
No.
Disappointing losses to Florida, Colorado State. And what other ranked team did they play in? They lost 3 in a row.
Miami.
Miami, yeah. He's definitely going
to be. And they lost to Dayton too, by the way.
They spent a lot of money this year at Providence for this team, but still very early on. We'll see. St. John's has been up and down too. They're still barely in the top 20, but you know they were going to be a really good team.
Yeah, Rick Pitino talking about college football.
Oh my God, is that the funniest thing ever?
Like Rick Pitino, stop it! Like we all know what you did anyways. Like you ruined the Celtics, and also you know how to ruin two basketball programs anyways.
The hypocrisy is ridiculous.
I know.
How was Joe this week? I didn't hear any clips from him, but I mean, he must be livid.
Oh, define livid. But the Dolphins, he's happy that they're winning. I'll say I know that, but Joe Z, he's been on fire this week. I think he went up to the committee. He's been going up to the committee a lot, anyways. He did it during man.
Yeah.
God, when did he go after? He went up to the committee before Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
He went after them on the Sunday after the Virginia Tech game, and I think we all hate Joey Galloway now down here. It's even better. Anyway.
I mean, it's so ridiculous to hear him, and then you got the opposite with Booker McFarland making sense. Joey Galloway's just a hater. Just an absolute hater. Everything he says about Miami is not true, and he will not apply that same ridiculous, pedantic, blathering illogic with any other team. He didn't talk about Notre Dame's struggles against Boston College down 12-10 with a minute to go in the third quarter. He doesn't talk about Oklahoma struggling with LSU. He doesn't talk about Alabama struggling with Auburn. You know, it's just strictly, Miami's touchdown didn't count.
Typical Ohio State. Typical Buckeye.
Yep.
Typical, let me just smoke my cigarette, Buckeye, and just get out of here, like doesn't care about you know what anyway. So I always say this, Joey Gower, learn how to read a playbook by Bill Belichick at least. Learn to be a real football guy at least. He's ridiculous.
He is laughable, and he doesn't get challenged like Booger. I like bringing this back. I go, what are you talking about? Throw some other facts that I just did back at him. Well, why don't you have that same perspective? That's where you need like McAfee on that show, or Orlovsky. Orlovsky would have thrown it back at him.
Oh,
He
yeah.
would have said, why don't
What
you,
are you talking about?
why don't you apply that same logic to this team and that team and this team? Why is it only against Miami? Which was wrong about, by the way.
Typical Buckeye. That's what I say. Typical Buckeye. I'd rather listen to Wolverine talk at least. Anyways, give me the corpse of Jim Mandich. At least he knows what he's talking about. At least
the other part of this whole committee is so ridiculous. Is I think you're putting the kids' health at risk in a lot of ways. And the reason I say that is because you're being forced to leave in your number ones when the game is well out of hand. Teams should be in victory formation, and you're going up against arguably second, third, fourth, sometimes fifth stringers at the end of these games, not just Miami, other teams as
Pitt,
well.
Virginia Tech.
Vandy did it against Kentucky. It is ridiculous why the ones should be out there when they should be in victory formation. And then, of course, the kids are always last in the totem pole, and the health is last on the totem pole. And it's just all selfishness and prejudices against certain schools. I cannot stand it.
Mm-hmm. By the way, who's our Heisman Trophy candidate for winner this year? I'm not figuring. Is it Diego Pavia? I asked this yesterday.
I would be up there. I think Mendoza for Indiana will be
okay. Because I feel like this is the 1 year, like 2020, when no one knew what the Heisman winner was going to be. This is the 1 year, like we have no idea who the Heisman winner.
Didn't get hurt. I'd stick him in there too, and he still may get invited. I mean, people don't understand how awesome those two are.
They're so much fun to watch, and plus hearing Ruben Baines say, some Gator Me, but Billy Napier's Finest was probably my favorite clip of all effing time on radio doing Miami Hurricane postgame anyway. So shout out to Ruben Baines forever.
Miami's going up north where it's cold. I think the Jets are going to win. I couldn't believe. Did you know how many interceptions the Jets have this year?
4? Wow.
0. They'll get 2 this week.
They need to.
Deflection or something like that. They will. They're going to pick off Tua because it's going to be crappy weather.
Crappy uniforms too by the Jets, by the way, this weekend.
They all suck. All those other.
The Patriots ones are good though. The Patriot ones are good though.
Like it. I like the helmet. I don't like the. It's too like.
It's Arena League. It's too much. You remember the Nike Pro Combat unis they did in the 2010s?
Yes.
Like Miami had a green helmet, which I thought was sick, anyways. So.
Are people optimistic about the Dolphins? Are they pissed off that they're going to get a worse?
So Omar Kelly said that I'm going to say this. I'm going to try to quote him on this. He said he wasted 7 years of his life while covering this Dolphins team. Anyways, I'm not joking. I think everyone's out on Tua now, and I was the first one to be out on him. Was like, I don't think he's the guy. And after the health stuff, I was like, this guy ain't it. Anyways, I don't think he's the same person, And people finally realize that now. Anyways, so.
I was tank for Tua. We all remember those.
A
few years ago, we all remember that, the tanking for Tua, all that crap. But
what a time!
But again, to hear Charlie Brown speak again, and thanks for the cut you sent me. And I played
props.
Him talking about Tua this morning is just like you want to make yourself go blind listening to it.
Imagine listening to him post game on Sunday after them beating the Saints by only 4.
Oh.
Sent you that sound too. That felt like an albatross when I was cutting this, by the way.
The Jets have no interceptions. They're going to get not 1, they're going to get 2 this week against it. And I hate the Jets, but I think 2 is in for a rude awakening. Plus, it's going to be really cold up there, and that'll be that.
Oh, really?
What else you get going on this week?
Really? We're doing Panther hockey now. We're doing we are now doing Canes basketball. I always say, I enjoy college basketball out of all things right now.
Yeah,
so
I want to go back to the Panthers real quick before I bring on my NHL insider, Mikolaj.
Yes.
I thought Paul Maurice had some great quotes this week about Brad Marchand.
Yes, he was great. The Panthers are in last place right now. I've kind of like silenced, put the alarm on a couple of weeks ago. Like, hey, we should probably pay attention to the Panthers. I know they're missing their 2 top players. They really need Matthew Tkachuk back. I know it is December 4th. I don't know when his return date is, but hopefully before the Winter Classic is. But they need to rack some wins up. And tonight, a bad Nashville Predator team is on deck for the Panthers, and I think it'll be a perfect team for them to beat up anyways. So,
Yeah, it is. And right now, you're right. They are. But it's so early. I've seen teams last like that, and then they make a run the second
I
half.
know.
And
It's
it certainly happened, but certainly 12 and 12. They went through a little run there without those two guys where they were winning. But
yeah.
anyway,
It's
all right.
they're an up and down team right now, and I produced. I was at the Flyer game on last Wednesday, anyway, so I had some fun at that game, anyway. So
All right, my man. Thanks so much, and
we'll do.
Enjoy the weekend.
We'll do Upper Bowl podcast. Carter Freeman's on from 105.3 The Fan. We talked about the CFP. I almost wouldn't. We wouldn't do. I don't think I had my brain explode, anyways. Almost.
Yeah.
Talked about him. Spotify rap season is here as well, so we talked about that because he's a big music guy. Musings and music, so check that out if you're a big music guy. Kevin Kincaid from Crossing Broad is on. By the way, Pete, I got to ask you one thing.
Yeah.
With all these random basketball tournaments, would you be down if the Upper Bowl podcast creates the Fort Lauderdale War Memorial Open?
I got to tell you, it is disappointing. And there were some big tournaments here in Fort Myers.
Yes.
With some major teams. The stands were empty for the men and women, some of the top teams. You look at the Maui Classic, the
Maui Invitational.
Maui Invitational, the Great Alaska Shootout. And some of these other tournaments with some big teams, there's nobody in the stands anymore.
I know.
There's nobody there.
It's so sad.
Maui was a little bit better because that's a high school gym they're playing in, basically. I still remember when Chaminade, you weren't even born yet, beat Ralph Sampson one year, one team in the country back in the day.
But we were talking about
that's the only gym that looks like it's crowded because it's a high school gym.
Yeah.
The rest of it, the Great Alaska Shootout, and some of these other great tournaments that went around, besides the ones at Madison Square Garden where they have the new, those usually do very.
Those sell out perfectly.
Other than that, you saw some of the tournaments pre-Thanksgiving. It was terrible. The crowds were terrible. There's some really good teams.
Yeah.
Michigan State, UConn, a few others that are nationally ranked, and there's nobody there.
All the BYU fans came down to Disney World, which is crazy, by the way.
Well, the BYU Connecticut game was blasted. I mean, the tickets were going for $650. So I mean, that was different. I mean, that's. But anyway,
we were talking on the Upper Bowl podcast, Duncan Dad and I was like, we should do the Fort Lauderdale War Memorial Open, and we thought Pete Sheppard would be the perfect guy to MC the bad boy, and we get Coach Larinaga to join us from.
Oh yeah,
UCF, FAU, USF. And Florida Gulf Coast.
I think it'd be awesome. I had a great conversation with Jim back in Houston during the Final Four because I was staying at the Miami hotel that year.
There we go.
And he and I talked for about 20 minutes, and he was just great. And talked about my dad going to Providence and all that stuff and everything else, and how much.
There we go.
I love that man. Love him to death. So.
All right,
buddy.
We'll talk later. We'll talk later this week.
Later. See ya.
Peace.
Your Eagles are going to lose Monday night.
I'm fine with that, honestly. I'm going to tell you that. I am fine because I have other things to worry about because I have not been able to watch 3 Eagles games because I have to do college basketball, and I had to do scores on a Friday. So I'll take no stress anyways.
You need an elbow room night. You need to get down there.
What do I really need is I need my vacation, and I'm about to book it soon anyways.
Nice.
Los Angeles, hello.
Oh, God. Okay. Never float your boat.
Bye.
All right, bye. All right. From one great guest to another. That was Trevor Harris from WQM in Miami. Now, been a couple of weeks because of the holiday and all that stuff. Welcoming in my great NHL insider, covers the Bruins, covers the NHL. He's awesome. The one and only Mick Colaggio from BrickRapMC.com and several other sites. I am designating tonight Black and Blue Night for the Bruins and the Blues because everybody is black and blue. Or how about MASH Unit 2.0? That works too. Who's left to play in this game tonight for both teams? This is really ridiculous. But welcome, Mick, and I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. You and the lovely Lauren and your animals and your family and everything else. And welcome. You got a knit hat on already. I'm already chilly looking at you because it was chilly this morning here at 55 degrees this morning. We're up to 60 right now, heading up to 80 degrees. But you have a knit hat on in your house. Why is that?
We are not headed toward 80 degrees today. We're heading into our coldest week since last winter. And we've had the odd thing is that only north and west of Boston have gotten the white stuff. All we're getting is rain but that's all going to change with the next precipitation because we have now sunk into the deep. Um, so this is the Winter Classic hat from the first one at Fenway Park,
Okay. I
2010.
love that. That's excellent.
The one that Bruins coach Marco Sturm won in overtime.
Yep, that was
While
my
I
game
was
with Gary Doak in the luxury box. I did a show with him 2 hours before a special show, and he had nowhere else to go. And I told you the
Isn't
story,
that
and I said, "You're coming up with me to the luxury box." So him and his they had a ball, and everybody loved it. It was fantastic. I was like,
the late great
"Who
Gary
didn't
Doak? That's
who didn't
awesome.
invite you?" Yeah. Anyway, we had a ball,
Anyway,
and that was a warm day, warmer than it is today for you guys up there.
one of my favorite, that's right, one of my favorite Bruins of all time, the late great Gary Doak, 2 10 years, was on a 1970 Stanley Cup team, went in expansion to the Canucks. Then he was on the Red Wings. Then he played against the Bruins in for the Rangers in the 72 Cup final. Then played for the Bruins against the Rangers when they met again in 73. As Harry Sinden tried to get the band back together, and reacquiring Gary Doak was one of his moves when he came back as GM in the 72-73 season. They wind him up, and there he goes. All you had to do is mention a Bruin from my youth. Anyway,
But tonight's game, I mean, my God, a lot of, Jim Montgomery about a year ago, right? A little more than a year, then he was fired from the Bruins. But my God, it's both teams are severely banged up here, Mick.
it's not going well in St. Louis. They've won 3 of their last 10. And so, they're equally mediocre home and away. They can't seem to find traction
They can't
either
score.
place.
They can't score. They can't score on the power. I mean, how many games have they scored 2 goals or less in the last 10? Like ridiculous.
Right. And the one thing the Bruins do at home is they score. So they're 9-5 at home. The Bruins have had a propensity for giving up high danger, grade A, whatever you want to call them, scoring chances in the opening shifts of games. Like when everybody's on the ice for the first time, so it goes through the first 5 minutes of the game. That's usually when the Bruins they've had a lot of uh, problems with that, trying to get themselves going, get to their game. Getting to their game is not something that comes easily to them, but when they do, they're really formidable. The only problem with the Bruins is they are severely banged up. No McAvoy still. And that's going to be a long term thing.
Have you heard anything?
No,
Any significant update? And
there's speculation that he'll be ready for the Olympics since he was already named for the team.
How many teeth?
But
How many teeth did he actually lose, or bones did he? I mean,
yeah,
how bad?
I don't know, but
it's worse than we think, right? It's worse than we think.
My interpretation is that he got hit and broke a bone in his jaw. Not a broken jaw in the sense of I need a straw to eat kind of broken bone, but when he took the puck in the face, it broke his face. That's what that's the impression I get from this, including spitting chicklets. Not to name another popular podcast,
Is
but
he able just to skate and sort of keep, or is he not allowed to even?
he has been on the ice, very quietly, but not with any timeline. Um, David Pasternak, it was a nagging thing that was not taking him out of the lineup. That is now taking him out of the lineup, and now it's going to take him out of the lineup a little longer than initially thought. So the Bruins' 2 best players, categorically, are not playing for them, and they're not a playoff team when they don't have these guys. When they don't have either one, they're probably not a playoff team. Either one, especially McAvoy, because they lack right shot depth on defense. Right now, they're taking a guy who played third pairing for them until this season and have elevated him, and he's become a warhorse. Andrew Peak, the former Columbus Blue Jackets defenseman, he's become their and even Henry Jokiharju, the other right shot NHL defenseman, is out of the lineup injured, and he wasn't. He was in a doghouse already. He was only playing when McAvoy went out. So they're using this kid, Jonathan Aspero, French Canadian kid, came up having to prove it at every level he played at. Played his full junior career. Went to the American Hockey League. Played almost 400 American Hockey League games. Finally gets his NHL chance And very similarly to how it happened with the Bruins a few years ago with Parker Wotherspoon, who had been caught up in the numbers game with the New York Islanders when they had a great defense core back in 21 when they made the conference final. Wotherspoon is now thriving in Pittsburgh, but Wotherspoon broke in with the Bruins finally when they needed a left shot. Well, Aspero's a left shot, but he's playing right side. In today's NHL, that's something you only ask the most experienced defenseman to do, and they're doing it with this kid who had never played in the NHL, and he's surviving it. He's doing okay. He fits the Bruins identity very well. He plays with structure, but he plays with some speed and he plays with some ferocity. He's kind of like Connor Clifton under control. So the Bruins have a really good one there that they mined out of the haystack of fringe players around NHL organizations and brought him in this year, and here he is playing for them because of injuries and looking so good that they probably don't want to take him out when they get healthy.
Well, as Herb Brooks said, great moments are born by great opportunity. That's what you've earned here tonight. So I mean that's true. I mean it still rings true. Now
it still rings true. And Jonathan Aspero is, he doesn't check all the Don Sweeney boxes. Mm-hmm. He's, Donnie Sweeney, even though he's a Canadian, and he was GM of Canada in the Team Canada in the Four Nations that was hosted by Montreal and Boston last winter. He's a high ranking, in Team Canada, as in their management core. For the Olympics as well, he won't be the GM per se, but he will be somebody who has input and highly respected in Canada, far more than he is in these parts, despite the fact he's averaged 50 wins per 82 games since he's been GM pretty much. It's amazing what it takes around here because we're such a spoiled, rotten market. If you don't win, if you're not riding duck boats in June, then you're useless. That's how it works around here.
Now, what about the Blues? The Jimmy Snuggerud, wrist surgery, Nathan Walker up a body injury, and then you already have Alexei Topachenko. He's out week to week after burning his legs in an accident at home, which I did not hear exactly how that happened. But maybe you have.
Is that the one of the grilling accident?
That's right. It was the grill. It was grilling.
It might have been with the grill.
Yeah, it was grilling and burnt his leg. It's just that's great. But so the Blues, just those three guys alone. I mean, Jim Montgomery's running a mass unit too.
Yeah, and they're trying to be as patient as they can with that situation there because they really thought this was going to be a big turnaround season for them, and here they are meandering. The only good thing for the teams that are sucking wind right now is that it's not like you have the classic NHL standings where you have this great big middle class and then you have 6 doormats and 6 contenders. We do have some outstanding regular season teams that look like the real deal that are starting to emerge. The Colorado Avalanche, also the Minnesota. They might smash the Bruins record from 23 to smithereens.
And we know, we know how that usually ends up in the postseason.
You know what? One reason I take the Avalanche seriously is not because of this record, but because of their acquisition of Brock Nelson at the deadline last year. Yeah. I know they also got Charlie Coyle, and they moved on from them because it didn't work out between him and the real coach of that team, Nathan MacKinnon. But McKinnon runs that show, and it's a theocracy. He's the god of that team, and that's how it works. He gets if McKinnon likes you, things work out in Colorado. If he doesn't, he didn't like Coyle. So anyway,
well,
I think Brock Nelson changes everything for them.
How about Tyler Seguin out for the year now? How big is that?
Yeah, that's really sad because this is a team that could win the Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. They've been good for a while. They've been good for a long while. They've been very good for a short while since they added some of these big, strong defensemen to supplement Heiskanen, who's been injured often but is back, and Asa Lindell. They've got an emerging young core of players that's really kind of taken over that team, so that Sagan and Jamie Benn could be the old standbys, and Jamie Benn obviously is at the milestone stage of his career. And he's a character guy. He's almost at Corey Perry kind of stage, but not quite. But for Sagan to be knocked off this bus right now is really sad. I never thought I'd feel this badly for Tyler Sagan, kid for everything for whom everything had come too easily in the beginning. Um, but here he is, a guy who's had a million injuries, a million surgeries, and he was settling in as a great character guy and a leader on this team. A guy who can't fly around the ice like he used to, but has over the years made himself into a very useful hockey player, who can still pass the puck like nobody's business. And and here he is, doesn't get to. It's a You know who I assume he's gotten a call from is Mark Savard, because when the Boston Bruins with Tyler Sagan, a teenager, went to this, started climbing the ladder toward the Stanley Cup, Mark Savard was the one whose career was unfortunately cut short, and with that horrible side swipe hit by Matt Cook.
But for those who don't know what you're talking about, a lot of with Tyler Sagan and when he was 18, 19 years old with the Bruins, and they had the discipline was so bad. I mean, they had to post a sentry post basically outside his hotel room, for the playoffs.
Well, that was his third season.
Yep.
That was season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was during the opening round playoffs. That was during that opening round playoff series at Toronto.
And
in
everybody was screaming for
13.
him to play. Remember, everybody wanted, why isn't he playing? Why isn't he playing? Then nobody knew what was going on behind the scenes, and then you found out.
Yeah, and if you're tired of the things, there's a lot more going there as well. And he wound up. The Bruins wound up revising their team, won the President's Trophy the next year without Sagan, without Nathan Horton, without they brought in Jaromir Jagr.
Well, Nathan
Well, actually, no.
right?
They brought it. No, it wasn't Jagr. It was Jerome McGinley. It was Jagr was on the last Sagan team. Jerome McGinley was on the President's Trophy team of the following year. But the problem that season, the Bruins said they were going all in, but they really weren't, because when Dennis Seidenberg's knee went out halfway through the season, one of the Ottawa Senators fell on him behind the Boston net during garbage time of a game around Christmas, and Seidenberg did his ACL and his MCL, and his season was over. And the Bruins never adequately replaced him, and they had entry level defensemen on all pairings, and that was that.
And then Nathan Horton had the cardiovascular problem, right? And it was out after he was out.
That was before, because Rich Peverly had the cardiovascular problem.
Okay.
But they were all had moved on from the Bruins. That Bruins team kind of even though they won the President's Trophy in 13-14, that was a very changed team. Dougie Hamilton had become a regular. Andrew Ferentz had gone to the Oilers. Andrew Ferentz had gone to the Oilers in free agency because of the salary cap. He couldn't stay in Boston. Torrey Krug had become a regular. Adam McQuaid was injured, so Kevin Miller was very raw at that time. And so you had Matt Bartkowski, who's basically from a physical standpoint, it was basically Charlie McAvoy as a left shot. He was a super skater, could do Bobby Orr stuff out there. I've seen him overtake the guy who's going to become GM of the Blues when Doug Armstrong retires.
I can't think of his name right now.
It's Steen.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Alex Steen, because his father played. I always start to say his father's name, but it's Alex Steen. Anyway, Alex Steen's going to be GM of the Blues going forward. He was on the Stanley Cup team to beat the Bruins in 19, and he was getting old then, but he was still a good player for them in a role. But they I'm losing my train of thought here. I'm kind of all over the place. Sorry.
That's
but
anyway, I get what you're saying. So.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get back to Savard and Sagan and seasons that cut short. It's not the end of Sagan's career by any means, but if Dallas wins the Stanley Cup, I'm going to feel awful for Tyler Sagan, because this should have been the far more gratifying Stanley Cup run of his life. not the first one. The first one was great, but this would have been fantastic for him. This is where he's made his career. It's where he's made his home. It's where he's grown up. It's where he's had a family. It's where his life has happened, and this has been his team. And regardless of the circumstances of how he got there, he's never moved around the league. This has been his team, and he's embraced these guys. He's embraced Dallas, and he deserved better. So I feel, I and from the hockey standpoint, it could hurt them. You need everything you can get.
God,
And
yeah.
when you're a team going for the cup, Tyler Seguin is the kind of guy you want to add. So
Absolutely.
you're already blessed to have him on your team as an elder statesman. Really, 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 just a terrible, terrible puck luck for him to injure his knee and lose his season.
Couple more moments here with my great NHL insider, Mick Colaggio. I want to get to the Olympic story in a second here, but going back to Charlie McAvoy, psychologically, and we know hockey players are tough and all that stuff, and I understand that. You think this injury, when he's ready to come back, if it's even this year, when he's ready to come back, how it would affect his play on the ice as far as being aggressive?
I would have been more concerned about the Four Nations injury and how that would affect him ability to be more aggressive. Because if there's two things a defenseman needs, it's their knees and their shoulders. And Charlie McAvoy is a super skater, a power skater, and he likes to do everything at high speed. And that's probably one of the reasons he wasn't a power play guy at Boston University or early on NHL. He was starting to come around to it. The Bruins power play under Steve Spott was really good this year, and it still scores some goals, but it was really good with McAvoy. And Steve Spott is the first coach who was able to make him a good part of the power play. McAvoy, I'm looking at it more of, is he got adequate time to be in shape to build up his weight? You lose weight when you have this kind of an injury. You don't get your calories, and he's probably lost muscle. So he needs some runway here. He needs some time to build himself back up physically. Mentally, I'm not worried because if there was going to be shyness, it would be after he had this really deep surgery to his shoulder following that cheap shot into the goalpost post whistle in Montreal during the early stages of the Four Nations.
All right, somebody asked about Gaspar guy asked about Tampa Bay. Look, they're playing well. They've won 8 out of 10. They
look like they're back.
Every time you think they might not be, they're back. They are back, and they're playing as well as anybody basically right now, except for maybe Colorado. Washington playing well too. They're 9-1 of their last 10. Mick, before I let you go, and I wanted to talk about the story that came out, which I think is the only part of the Olympics that I really like anymore. Is obviously it's always been about hockey and figure skating. I don't really care about some downhill skiing and ski jumping. I kind of like, but it's for me, Winter Olympics, it's all about the hockey. And the story came out this week that next year's Olympics, which is going to be a little more than a year, for about 14 months from now at the Milan Cortina Games, and the NHL planning on sending players to this event in February, first time since 2014 in Sochi. I watched that championship game in Aruba, by the way. The agreement between the NHL Players Association.
14 months. I thought it was coming up right now.
It's coming up in February. That's right. You're right. It's coming up in February of 26.
I almost went with you on that. I'm thinking it is only 2025.
It always seems like May down here.
That's awesome.
It always seems like it's May down here, so I forget what month it is.
You almost talked me right into that. That's funny. No, 25, 26.
It doesn't.
The teams are almost picked.
The teams are almost picked, but they are not happy with the rink specifications, and it certainly seems like the women are going to get bumped out of this somehow, some way, or it's not going to be ready for them, and it may not be ready for specifications the NHL wants for the men. Are you hearing anything about this?
Well, I've read the stories, and basically what it is it's a rink that's going to be a few feet short.
Yeah.
I read until I could find out what the hell are they talking about.
Yeah.
What are they talking about here? And what they're talking about is the rink might not be the full regulation 200 feet. It might only be 196. And if that's the case, let me tell you something. Until the new arenas were built in the mid 90s, the Buffalo Sabres rink was in the 180s. The Chicago Stadium, I think, was 185.
What was the Garden? Yeah.
Boston Garden was 191.
It seems
But
smaller than that.
Boston Garden's unique dimension was the width. In Boston Garden, the width was 83 feet wide, not the regulation 85. It was the only rink for decades that had a width discrepancy with the rest of the league. The only other oddity in the NHL was until a certain renovation at the Igloo in Pittsburgh, the Civic Arena rink was 205 feet long. I used to look down at TV watching Bobby Orr go behind the net with the puck and thinking, man, it looks like there's a lot of room back there. So I always thought that the Pittsburgh rink was long, and then I read in a book once that it was 205 feet. So I went to the 2008 Stanley Cup Final against the Red Wings, Pittsburgh and Detroit. I went to Game 3. Flew down there with Kevin DuPont and the late great Bob Newmeyer, and we went to Game 3, and they gave me this awesome press seat next to all these heavy hitting Canadian reporters, and so I'm sitting there hovering right over the place. But before the game at the morning skate, I went down, saw the Bull Gang, and I tried to find where did this rink stop? And there was this seam on the floor. There was these underneath the floorboards. You could see these gigantic, like 8x8 beams of wood that were the floor behind the rink, and there was a seam that was there, a certain point where you'd see what hockey boards would fit. And I asked a guy in a bull game, the oldest one I could find, I said, is that where the rink used to be? And he just smiled and nodded at me. And I'm thinking like, yes, I knew it. Bam, 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 bam.
Didn't the Panthers be playing in there too? Basketball, Pitt Panthers. Did they play in that arena? I can't remember if they played there during the Big East.
I'm not aware of it if they did, because anytime I didn't follow them, but if I did see them, I think I would have known it. I would think I realized it, because the Igloo was a very strange building to watch a game in.
Well, and I remember
even on TV
back in the day, if you ever, seeing the Bruins play Buffalo in Buffalo or Buffalo in Boston, and then the next night on whatever network, USA or something, and they would cut to Gretzky and the Northlands Coliseum, and it was like, where am I? This can't be the same league. It felt like you could pick up the Garden or the old Odd in Buffalo and place it at Northland Coliseum where the Oilers were playing, because that rink was huge. They seemed to have Grant Fuhrer could have had tea and crumpets behind the net at times. Back in the day, that rink was fucking huge when you saw it compared to some of the other ones at the time.
Yeah, well, the NHL has done a few things through the years. In the age of Gretzky, one of the things that the NHL tried to do that they thought would be a great idea was move the nets out. So when you move the nets out, because they wanted to like expand Gretzky's office make everybody become Gretzky, but beware, you shouldn't turn hockey into lacrosse. Lacrosse has a circular offense, and it rotates around the net. The net is way out in play. In hockey, the game needs to funnel to the net, and they recognized that mistake, and they wanted to go back to the old 10 feet. They had the nets out 13 feet from the end boards at one point. And then they wanted to go back to 10 feet, but not all the buildings could accommodate that in terms of what the infrastructure was underneath the rink for the bolts to support it, for the receptacles for the net. So what they did instead was they settled on 11. So hockey nets are 11 feet. The goal line is 11 feet off the end boards. Now, when you do that, the attacking zones, the end zones, all move forward. So any space that comes off a short rink comes out of a neutral zone. And Pete, you'll remember this. You walk into a short rink, and the first thing you see is how close that big center circle, which is the same size as the circles in the zone, in the D zones, it comes to the blue line. And there's some short rinks in Massachusetts, I can tell you. I don't, you know, when they had a fire at the rink at Ponkapaw Golf Club in Canton, Massachusetts, they redid a lot of things. I haven't been in there since it was renovated, so I don't know if they've made the rink longer, but because that would require pulling up all of the piping, my guess is they didn't make it longer. It's probably still the same short rink it was.
Do you remember back in the day, Sports Illustrated, speaking of Ponkapaw Country Club, and I use that term, you know, it was a public course that had a boulder in the middle of the first hole. Remember, Sports Illustrated did a whole article on the 10 or 15 worst golf courses, public courses in America, and that was Ponky was number one. Now, they've since renovated it. I hear it's pretty nice. But
Well,
day,
now I'm being told that it's gone to hell again. What they did about the project maybe about 20 years ago, they started taking out a lot of the problem with Ponkapaw. The number one course is the one that's not closer to Route 128 near Blue Hills. It's the one that's more inland.
Yeah,
that's the original. The number one is the Donald Ross, and they had some low-lying holes that were all sort of together. You go kind of up slight incline up on the number one par four, then you cross the road and it's downhill to the number two green, and then you cross over and now you're in the swamp. And what happened is the number three par five, the parallel number 11 par five, and the 13th par five, which was the bottom half of that one. Those were all at the bottom of the swamp. That all went underwater for years, and that section was closed. And what they did is they knocked out a lot of trees and they put in irrigation. So, and then they did a bunch of tee boxes over really nicely. There was talk at one point, a big article in the Boston Globe, that they might take and change that whole course into one course with a townhouse residency, and then try to draw like the U.S. Open to it or something. And it never came to fruition. But the Metropolitan District Commission, which no longer exists, although a couple of days ago I was in West Roxbury and I drove right past one of the buildings that had it knocked into the concrete for many decades. Metropolitan District Commission, the old MDC, all those ranch-shaped Bobby Orr hockey rinks from 1973 that populated Massachusetts. Those were all MDC rinks. Now they're under the DCR, which is a state agency, the District Department of Conservation and Recreation.
Well, I just played the first Ponky course once way back, and it was, I don't know, it was like
I grew up on it, Pete. My father was a member.
Well, and then when I was lucky growing up, my parents were members at Quidnesset, but a lot of times they couldn't get down there or whatever, so we would go play at Richmond Country Club, which is on the border of Richmond. It's Richmond, Rhode Island, and Wyoming, Rhode Island. People don't realize there's a Wyoming, Rhode Island. That's right. First hole, big fucking rock boulder in the middle.
That's right. That's right. I played it. Yeah.
Yards down. Yep. And it was only $4.75 to play. All you want.
I played more than that, but I paid more than that. But I remember it.
They redid it. They renovated it. It became an excellent public course. Narrow as all hell, But still, I mean, it was night and day after they renovated. But we used to go and play there for $4 or $4.50. All you can play after school, for
Tiger Woods really influenced a lot of golf course expansion, including in that region of Massachusetts. That's you're talking Southwest Rhode Island there, and a lot of that area got new. I mean, the casino got built one there. I think Foxwoods built a golf course there.
Yeah, I played it. That's very nice. The Foxwood Golf Course is very nice. All right, quickly back to the NHL. So the women's hockey tournament is scheduled in the Olympics. Scheduled to begin February 5th. The men's hockey tournament begins February 11th. We don't even know if the rink is going to be done yet. Forget the dimensions, which is another problem. 16,000. I don't know if it's going to be done yet. It reminds me very much, I think I've told you this story back in the day, when the Summer Olympics were in Beijing. We were supposed to go do the big show in Beijing because the Patriots are going to play Seattle in an exhibition game out there, and it was done. with about a month or 3 weeks to go, we get the sheets. Don't talk about cigarette smoke. Everything comment. Don't complain about lack of toilets. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't talk about religion. And then the game, and we're all set. We're going to take listeners with us, and the game gets canceled because the stadium isn't ready yet. So I'm wondering. I hope to God this doesn't happen because I don't know what the alternative. What if this rink isn't ready? It certainly seems like it's not going to be ready for the girls, and I don't know if it's going to be ready for the guys.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I wish my problem was that I was over there covering that story so I could sit back and sip some limoncello and
You're not going
But-
to. I guess the original plan was to portion the under 20 world championships in December as a test event. Typically, Olympic venues have test events as far back as a year before the games begin. The new test event for the Milan Arena is now scheduled for January 9th through the 11th. So I guess
there's been some speculation that there won't be any skating on the rink until they're dropping the puck for an Olympic game.
Well, that's what I said. Yeah, I think
if that happens, then
girls might get screwed out of this. They're supposed to begin on February 5th. I don't know if that's going to happen right now.
I don't understand. I think the thing that I don't really get right now is why they would confine the games to one venue. Why would you do that when you have such an expansive Olympic tournament for men and women? It doesn't make sense to me.
And then I just read this
in Milan. I mean, that's northern Italy. This is where you have rinks here. You've had Olympics. Well, you've had Torino before, so why not go back there with it? Play some games there or something. Play like opening rounds there. Now, some of my friends now are saying that, boy, if the NHL doesn't like this, they might say, hey, we're not going to send them. We don't think it's safe. And if we don't do that, maybe we'll hold a separate. Maybe the whole Olympic tournament will be held in various venues in North America. What's to stop it?
Well, then there's this. If you forget the rink, NHL players, I guess, have already been warned by their federations and the Players Association that accommodations will be different than the standards they're used to, and things might not be perfect when they arrive. The locker rooms, for example, are supposed to be in trailers adjacent into the arenas, and both Team USA and Canada are planning on staying in the Olympic Village dorms. Now, remember in Sochi how the beds, they were tiny. That was an entire mess out there. Or in wherever in Qatar when they had the Olympics. I mean it's been a mess. But I mean, if the accommodations are ready, players aren't going to want it. They're not going to sleep on cots or anything like that. If the accommodations are ready, I don't know. It's one thing to say, oh, they're pros, suck it up, and I don't know. If they're being warned already that accommodation, this scares me. The line that they said, quote, warned the Players Association that accommodations will be different than the standards they're used to.
You know what? If that's the case, why don't the federations just buy hotel space for their players? Do they have to live in the Olympic Village in order for the Olympic Committee the International Olympic Committee?
In the villages, the USA and Canada said they were planning on staying in the Olympic Village, but in the dorm.
I would be surprised if that goes off if that's an issue. But the players often put themselves in peril where it concerns ice conditions with all these outdoor games. So the outdoor games, I mean, remember the year after the Bruins, the season the Bruins won the Cup, Pittsburgh hosted the Winter Classic against the Washington Capitals, and it rained all day, pushing a 1 p.m. start up to 5 p.m., and they shouldn't have played the game at all, but because the puck was sticking on the ice in certain places because of puddles, Sidney Crosby was caught looking the wrong way, and a Washington Capitals player was caught looking the wrong way, and Crosby got a concussion out of it. I mean, your face of your league was lost to injury in that game. I mean, because of those conditions. But, these are inconvenient stories. The NHL doesn't like this kind of discussion. Well, so I don't see. They're not. Unless they're going to fall through the ice and land in Australia, I don't think they're going to be worried about the ice. I think they're just going to. Hey, one time there's a great old story about Milt Schmidt. I feel like if they ever made a movie about Milt Schmidt's life, they would have to have this in it. But Boston Garden, the ice was so thin at one stage of Milt Schmidt's career that when he was skating the puck up through center ice, his skates were making sparks against the cement,
Oh my God!
and because the ice was thinned out to a point that it was touching cement, and the sparks were flying while he was skating.
Oh my
I'm sure they
God!
dramatized the effects and all of that. But you imagine the scene being at the game and seeing that happen. That actually happened.
That's unbelievable. Mick, you're the best. Plug away. What's going on with you?
Well, hockey news, money power issue is either on the shelves or soon to be. And if you see it and you find the Bruins article, then I'm the guy who goes and chases the information that you will find under the Bruins of the 32 teams. You'll see the Bruins article, and that's what I produce. I blog at home games and I blog on subjects. And I wish we could get it online, but I'm talking to Richard Johnson, the curator, about this. But the Sports Museum, with their tradition event annually, they put out this fantastic event program. I'll show you one.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is here. The tradition, it's a main fundraiser for the Sports Museum. And in it, every year they honor, this year they honored Fred Lynn from the Red Sox, Isaiah Thomas from the Celtics. No, the Celtics. It was the Celtics, Isaiah.
Yes.
Yeah. Tim Thomas, Conn Smythe winner for the Bruins. And two-time Vezina Trophy winner, and Vince Wilfork, who it was a thrill for me to meet Vince Wilfork.
He's a great guy. He is a great guy.
He's lost like 40 pounds.
I heard. Yeah. I saw
He said because his son plays baseball in Texas. They live in Texas, and his son plays baseball, and he lost his appetite sitting out in the hot bleachers watching the games. And he all of a sudden realized I should weigh myself, and he was down 40. So now he's kind of taking the ball and running with it and working out, and see him give some. So also Gabby Thomas and Keegan Bradley, most recently U.S. Captain in the
Ryder Cup. Yeah,
the Ryder. So and there's my. Well, this is what I was saying. Here's my article on Tim Thomas.
Sweet.
Had a great time talking to Timmy on the phone. I got Patrice Bergeron to call me, Claude Julien, talked to Tuukka Rask. It was they only give you 1,000 words. I mean, I could write a half a book on what I had.
Well, I told you should. I don't know why you haven't. I mean, you need to do that to be a bestseller. You need to do that. Trust me, you can do it. Even if you collaborated with somebody else, maybe you and Duke.
Well, I do have a collaborant, and we've been toying with an idea that he's been working on more than me, but it's a great idea, and I hope we have time to finish it and do it.
I hope you do.
It may happen. It may happen.
That's awesome. All right, Mick, thanks so much. We'll talk again next week. Hopefully the Bruins will be healthier tonight. I don't know what's going to happen. It's one of those games where it looks like it's going to be 1-0 or 2-1 because everybody's so banged up. This will probably be 7-6.
And we may get some Jordan Bennington, Jeremy Swayman, histrionics. You just never know.
No question. Thanks so much, Mick. You're the best, and we'll talk soon.
Talk soon, Pete.
All right, buddy. All the best. There he goes. Mick Colagio and the great NHL insiders. Angel Martinez, it's already Thursday. It feels like it's going to be almost Friday. By the way, I was awesome last week in my pigskin picks. 11-3-1. Or 12-3-1. I can't remember. But it was fantastic.
That is fantastic.
So tonight, Detroit and the over. Detroit and the over. They haven't lost 2 games in a row in 57 tries. So we shall see. What else is going on? What's going up on the network today, Angel? Anything?
So Ain't That Right with Duncan Dad. That'll be at 1:00 today. And that's pretty much about it for the network.
All right. I want to thank Mick Colagio. I want to thank Trevor Harris. Thank all of you guys. Fantastic. Tomorrow, full show. Jay Flannelly, probably at 8:05. We're going to have Meter on as well. Maybe, and Gabe Morency, I believe, will be back tomorrow at 9:30 after I do my pigskin picks. We will have his as well. So have a great and safe rest of your Thursday, everybody. And if you don't know what this is, do you know what you know what this is, Angel? Credits are rolling.
Crap.
I think Michael Keaton starring role back in the day with Jack Nicholson.
Batman.
Yes. This is the awesome, awesome ending. Just fantastic. I'm Pete. I'm back tomorrow on the Coastal Sports Digital Network, 7 in the a.m. Enjoy. This gives you goosebumps, Angel. And I'm not Batman. See you.